Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did want to just point out that later on in the agenda, I am asking the committee to approve my goals for FY22. Thank you. I did, there was a typo and someone pointed it out to me, so I appreciate that. Moving on to my second item, I attached a report for COVID data for both the city and the schools. And you can see from the chart that I produced that obviously the COVID cases have been going down. As of the 5th, when I reported that, we had 4 positive cases in the schools. My latest information is we had 8 in total, so small increase since the last time, but nothing that was worrying us. Confirmed cases in the city of Marlborough also have gone down pretty significantly, and the testing positivity rate has also gone down. Attached to the report, my third item, school improvement plans. So attached to this report, you're going to find the school improvement plans. Included is the NWA data that we reviewed together during the workshop in August. I wanted to include that so you had a copy of it. School improvement plans don't have an action from the committee. They're for you to read and provided as a courtesy. If you do have any questions or any comments, any feedback, please let me know. I appreciate that. On October 5th, the district convened the first of our 4 dinner meetings to update and revise our strategy for improvement. We're going to meet again in November, December, and January to finish our work and present the new draft strategy for improvement within the FY23 budget request document. We're happy to report that due to the school committee, mayor, and the city council's support, we've actually been able to remove 2 priorities from our previous plan as having been completed the major objectives. The first, reducing class size and incorporating, and the second was incorporating technology and meaningful education practices. By removing the priorities, it does not mean that we're no longer paying attention to these areas. They're going to stay a part of our budget and capital requests, but we're going to focus our priority groups down to areas we need to focus on to establish longer-term plans. That's my report for tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Any question for the superintendent? I just wanted to add a couple things to the COVID update. Right now, we have 70, well, based on the state's numbers, based on the number of people in the city that have been vaccinated, we have 78% vaccinated, 71% fully vaccinated, and 7% with at least 1 dose. And we have just over a 2% positivity rate with the testing that's been going on up at the hospital. So we're in good shape. The hospital has seen an uptick in patients this past couple days, but like I said at the last meeting, it fluctuates. So we're heading in a good direction. Superintendent, administrators, and teachers are doing a great job here, so we're moving forward. Any other questions for the superintendent? Yes.
I actually have a question for you about boosters.
There's no such thing. Well, the only booster out there right now is the one that's been out there.
Yeah.
It's a Pfizer, and so if you've had that, you can get the booster. If you're over 65 or you have some other immune deficiency, they are meeting, I think, on Friday to discuss boosters for Moderna and whether you can mix and match. But at this point, the only thing out there is the Pfizer, and we're not doing that we're not doing it in the city, but the pharmacies do have it.
Yeah, like CVS, I know, does. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Murphy.
Thank you. As you know, last year the schools administered the NWA MAP assessment 3 times throughout the year. You can see a summary of each school's data in the school improvement plans the superintendent shared with you tonight. Last spring, each school used this data to plan summer programming and in-school interventions this fall. District-wide, we also administrated MCAS to students in grades 3 through 10. MCAS was intended to provide us an additional data point for students in grades 3 through 8 and was only scheduled for 1 day per content. Remote students in grades 3 through 8 were also able to be assessed remotely for both NWA and MCAS in grades 3 through 8. This fall, students in grades K through 10 once again were assessed using NWA map growth. Data teams in grades K through 8 will be looking at all the assessment data we have collected over the last year to identify students in need of additional interventions to address any learning gaps that may have developed during COVID-related transitions. As I noted in my August report, lead teachers from each school have been attending the Research for Better Teaching's collaborative data process class since August. Now these school-based data teams will be using the same process to identify students that need an extended day intervention. All of our schools, K through 12, will design interventions that will focus on academic gaps, supporting students that need additional social or emotional support, or English learner needs. The K-5 schools will schedule intervention classes before school in person, but after-school interventions in grades K through 5 will be scheduled remotely. This will ensure that all students will have access to these supports. In grades 6 through 12, interventions will take place in person before and after school. Your early and late buses are scheduled daily in grades 6 through 12. Intervention groups will be scheduled for 6 through 8 week cycles, and after each NWA MAP growth assessment period, the data teams will reconvene and identify groupings for the next cycle. This process will continue throughout the year.
Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Yes?
I'm just a little concerned about doing too much before school. I mean, we set the start time for the high school for a reason, and then forcing the kids to go back early kind of defeats the purpose. So,
So we do currently have early buses for the secondary right now. So they will try to take advantage. It won't be mandatory, and we do have the late buses for those students as well. At the elementary, we've always done the drop-off. We've been pretty successful with that and getting access to that for a lot of our families. But we don't have late buses at the elementary, so we want to make sure that we're really focused on offering something for every student that needs it.
yeah, for sure. I just wanted to mention it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Seeing none. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of September 28th.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Public participation. And could you please state your name and address for the record, please? Thank you.
Sure. My name is Amber Aftemus. I live at 38 Beverly Drive. I have 3 children, one in 9th grade, 7th grade, and 5th grade here in the Marlboro Public Schools, and I'm here to talk about the topic of homework in our schools. The proposed homework policy as written allows for homework, also referred to as extended classwork, to be given at the discretion of the teacher, and there's no grading of homework. Since September 1st, Marlboro teachers have been directed not to give homework unless requested by students or parents. I was told this at curriculum nights for both MHS and Whitcomb, and in discussions with other teachers. While both the existing and proposed policies are written to allow teachers discretion to provide homework, in practice this year, they are not doing so, have been directed not to, or some other miscommunication is taking place. If homework is only given at the request of parents, this is not equity. Not using homework as a tool to reinforce school learning with our students is a disservice to their learning. I fear we will see lower standardized test scores over time, putting our children's applications to college in jeopardy and lowering the value of our education in the MPS school system. This will affect the desirability of the town for families considering Marlboro versus surrounding areas. Marlboro schools serving students in grades kindergarten through 8th grade receive Title I funding. Per our prior parent compact, those students eligible for accessibility of services through Title I demonstrate underperformance academically. I find it hard to understand how not using homework as a teaching tool will help our students improve in their learning. For families who believe in the value of a school system that challenges students academically, teaches time management, accountability, independent problem solving, and overcoming challenges, we're going to be forced to seek supplemental instruction for our children or alternative school districts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public participation? Any other public participation? Any other public participation? Thank you very much. Action items, moratorium of agreement between the Marlboro Public Schools and the para-educators.
Memorandum.
I'm sorry. Memorandum.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the MOA between Marlboro School Committee and the para-educators, adding members to the group.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. The MOA for the Marlboro School Committee and the Marlboro Educators Association.
I'd like to make a motion, actually, let me just preface this. All these were approved in executive session, so we're just doing a public one.
Yep.
But I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement between the Marlboro School Committee and the MEA on the stipend piece.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Yep.
I just want to make sure that it's known that there's going to be further discussion about the positions and the stipend situations with a group that's already been discussed at the table. So I just think that the public should be aware that there's going to be further discussion happening, but we needed to get something within the contract situation. So, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. In the agreement between the Marlboro School Committee and the Marlboro Educators Association is,
I'd like to make a motion on the collective bargaining agreement between the Marlboro School Committee and the Marlboro Educators Association.
motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Surplus third grade textbooks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In FY '22, the district purchased new grade 3 curriculum textbooks, and we now have the old textbooks, and we would like to deem them obsolete. We've tried selling them. We've tried giving them away. We've been unsuccessful in both, so we would like to discard the existing textbooks.
A motion?
Move to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Mrs. Bodenhinger.
Is there a recycling plan? We don't just like toss them in the dumpster, do we?
We'll recycle them.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. FY '22 Superintendent's Goals.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The September 28 meeting, I shared my draft FY22 goals with the school committee. I just was asking for the school committee to approve my goals as of this meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
Lots of luck.
It's not luck, you gotta work.
Good point.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
MASC Delegate. Ms. Ryan.
Nope, I'm out. Motion to nominate Michelle Bodenhead.
Motion made and seconded to nominate Ms. Michelle Bodenhead.
Well, are we discussing?
Yep, there's more.
The only reason is because they moved the delegate assembly until Saturday of the conference. It's not going to be on Wednesday or Thursday this year, so Mrs. Matthews has to leave by Friday. Is anyone else staying until Saturday? Last gal
You
standing.
can do it virtually if you'd like. I'll just be not available, though.
Yeah.
Is the problem.
No, I am staying till Saturday, so I will do it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. MASC resolutions.
How about you read it?
What?
You want me to
Can-
read them? You like
can
how I
I
read
ask-
them every year?
Can I ask, can we move this down, this item down? 'Cause this gets into silly discussions, rather than take the next half hour to discuss them.
But we have to vote
Move
on
it
them.
down to
No, I just,
where?
just move it down and take up the policy first.
Okay, that's fine.
That-
Sure.
We'll just take up the policy if
Sure.
no one has any objection.
Sure, no, that's true. Well, that's fine.
Thank you very much. No, we're just moving it. No objection to moving it down? Thank you very much. Mrs. Policy.
Thank you so much, sir. So you have before you tonight another round of reviewing the homework policy that was provided at our last meeting for the first read. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the homework policy 7.700.
Motion made and seconded to approve policy number 7.700, homework. Any further discussion? Mrs. Hennessy.
I guess I would, again, like to clarify, just, realistically with you coming, I want to make sure that there's been a lot of discussion around this, and I think many of us are quite committed that homework or extension of the classroom is a very important element. I believe that we are trying to allow for the equity to happen, for the diversity within our community, and make sure that all of our children are supported and there is enough rigor involved at all levels. Yet we recognize that there are some families and some situations for students where they do not necessarily have the supports outside of the classroom to assist them all the time. I think that was one of the discussion points as to why we decided to allow for it not necessarily to be a graded situation, yet the opportunity for needing to actually commit to something to getting it done. In some cases previously, there have been grades that have been massively impacting a child's GPA simply by doing their homework, where that can be actually executed by a check mark acknowledging that a child has actually done their homework, done what has been asked of them, without necessarily needing to have a grade point put into the figuring that would really sway it in a major way. So while I definitely feel that there has been some form of miscommunication about whether homework or extended classwork was going to be happening this year, I guess I would say we're going to use this as a fresh start again and recognize that there was definitely a discussion point during the pandemic when we had a lot of remote learning where a lot of our students were in front of computers. Our hope was not necessarily to have additional pressure on children during that time period to need to execute more behind the computer at that time period. And so there wasn't a need of pushing forward with having a lot of homework or extended class time, classwork at that point. Our hope is that it's used wisely, it's not done as busy work, and that we're using as an extension of the classroom to make sure that we're helping to reinforce work that's being learned within the classroom setting. So I just, felt the need to actually make sure that that was clarified. And, I am sorry that there's been some form of misunderstanding or miscommunication that has gone on, but I'm going to say, let's go for a clean slate and make sure we're all on the same page and moving forward to make sure that we're doing the best to support our children's education across the board. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. And acceptance of donations and gifts Donor's Choice, Good Now, Ms. Catone's class time for kids, $169.56. Mrs. Russell's class books, $290.70.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Target East Marlboro, 32 cases of hand sanitizer, miscellaneous school supplies of $300. 32 cases of hand sanitizer, $1,152.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Okay. MCAS resolutions.
No, that's not
Are we done?
MCAS, you mean MASC?
MASC.
Do you want me to read them, or are you going to read them?
No, I'm going to do the hard work, you can read them.
Okay. So, resolution number 1, dedicated funding for school-based clinics and services sponsored by the Framingham School Committee. I will read the first paragraph and the therefore. Whereas there are several overall benefits associated with a coordinated school health program, including improved student performances, decreased risky behaviors, reduced dropout rates, less absenteeism, and support teacher teamwork. Therefore, be it resolved that MASC support proposals that would establish dedicated funding for school-based physical health and mental health clinics and services. Rationale: the maintaining physical, social, and emotional wellness in students translates into establishing an optimal learning environment and sets students up for future excellent health standards, in addition to decreasing absences and school discipline referrals, reduction in Medicaid expenditures, reduced inappropriate emergency room use, decreased pregnancies, and increased overall physical and mental health.
Is there a
Anybody wanna-
motion?
Yeah, anybody want to make a motion on that one?
Well, move to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
the one thing that I didn't quite really understand about this was so unlike some of the other ones, there are specific bills that are out there. There doesn't seem to be, like, I'm not sure who this is directed towards. I 100% agree with this. I have had, many years ago, had conversations with you about this. I mean, Framingham has an in-the-high school medical clinic for students, and it is phenomenal. And the districts that have been able to, but the thing is that they have a community health center in Framingham. So it's the community health center that runs it, and we don't have that here in Marlboro. So in communities where they do have it, and they have clinics that are located at the high school, it's great. So if this somehow is directed towards, I don't know if this is looking to use the extra money that the state is getting. I don't really know who it's directed towards.
Ms. Hennessy.
Love the idea, but I feel like it's a little pie in the sky, and I just I think it's an overreach at this point in some cases where communities are not necessarily set up to have the support. Framingham has a wonderful example, but most of our communities across Massachusetts don't necessarily have a setup like this. So while I think it's a great idea, I'm just not quite sure that it's something that should be focused at MASC and at our level currently.
No, and most importantly, where's the money coming from? And there's no funding, it just says utilize funding.
So, yeah. So I do know, I had a conversation this week with Danielle Gregoire about the $8 billion, with the B, dollars that Massachusetts is going to be getting in the next round of money. And the legislature is looking for projects that are in the realm of infrastructure. And this probably fits into that. So, I mean, if there was, I agree with you. Like, it doesn't really explain where the money was coming from, who this is directed towards. If it is a suggestion to the legislature to look at this as one of the things that you all are looking at for that money, I'm all for it. Put it on the list and see if that makes the grade. But I just feel like the way it's worded here, it doesn't really explain that.
We have two options, and then I'm going to recognize Mr. Gary, but we can also leave it up to the delegate to make a decision after discussion takes place down there, or we can vote it down. Mr. Gary?
The thing I read, and I agree with the sentiment of this too, but the way it's worded, and that's probably why it's there, is it just says, it's like a blanket thing, supports proposals that would establish. What proposals?
Exactly.
They're not existing yet. So it's given them, it's basically, we're telling MASC that we're okay if they support things that we don't even know about yet. So I think, keep that in perspective.
What's the pleasure?
No, yeah, the motion to approve was on the floor.
Right.
Motion made and seconded to approve.
can
Is
I-
there any further discussion?
Can I make an amendment to my,
You can withdraw your motion and make a
Okay.
new one. How's that?
I withdraw and make a new amendment? A
Okay?
new motion. So I move that we leave it up to me and see how the discussion goes
Of course.
on the floor. I mean, if somebody comes through, I mean, short of us writing, we can write an addition to this, but I think Framingham needs to give us a little bit more information. So if that should come to bear,
Motion made and seconded to leave it up to the delegate to make a decision on the floor. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Number 2, homework gap and Wi-Fi internet access. We don't know who this was sponsored by, huh?
the Board of Directors, doesn't it say that?
Oh, in the scanned one, it's funny, it's not appearing on mine, that's funny, all right. Whereas the homework gap is a widely known and documented aspect of the digital divide by which students without access to reliable, high-speed broadband internet at home fall behind their peers academically. Where's the therefore? There's no therefore. Be it resolved that the MASC file for and support legislation which seek to provide free broadband internet to all K through 12 students in Massachusetts, and be it further resolved that MASC support federal initiatives and legislation to improve national high-speed broadband internet infrastructure, expansion, the FCC's E-rate program to include homes of K to 12 students, or any other steps to expand free access to reliable high-speed broadband to the students of our nation.
Ms. Hennessy.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve, but the only thing I'll add is this is one
Every
of the
year it's
things
asked
that
for.
the money's supposed to be used for. So
Right.
the communities need to step up to the plate and use it if they have an issue. But Big Brother shouldn't be telling them to do it.
But there's still places that
No.
don't have it.
Like, in the western part of the state, they don't even have the
Yeah, but they have
infrastructure
the
for.
funding now to put in place lines and access. And they've been working with the state for years on that, so.
Yeah.
I think,
Any further discussion? Ms. Ryan?
Yeah, just my concern with this one is free for all, because is it really free? Someone's paying for it, and if there's funds to pay for it, like, it should be used appropriately.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Right, am I gonna
Not
get a
really-
refund
it's
because
not
I'm
really
paying
free.
for it, right?
I mean,
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Number 3, IDEA Full Funding Act, sponsored by the Board of Directors. Whereas it is the legal responsibility for public schools to provide a free and appropriate education for all students in the least restrictive environment, and therefore be it resolved that the MASC calls upon the Massachusetts Congressional delegation to reintroduce and promote the passage of the IDEA Full Funding Act.
I'll move to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Further discussion?
Mr. Diaz and
Kumbaya.
Mr. Bergeron.
Kumbaya.
I don't know, I want to, I mean, this
So-
directly affects funding. I mean, if the IDA is not fully funded, what does that mean for us, and would you support this?
So traditionally, IDA has never been fully funded, and what that means is the municipalities and states have had to make up the gap due to the laws that have been passed, basically. So there are several laws in Massachusetts that give us reimbursements for some of our expenses. I think you all know about Circuit Breaker. So that's one example of how we try to get reimbursement, and that's a state-run program. So federal funding-wise, we do receive, I think about Jody's about 1.3 million, or a little bit more than that, in IDEA funding, and we generally use that for transportation. So that means that most of the services we are providing, whether it be in-school services or tuitions, are pretty much paid at the local level, if that makes sense.
Is Title I not under IDAA? It is not, it's separate.
IDA is
Special ed, got it.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Resolution 4.
Recess, sponsored by MASC Board of Directors. Whereas due to regulations
Promulgated.
Thank you, promulgated. I just got stuck there. By the Massachusetts Ed Reform Act of 1993, which excluded recess from time on learning calculations, and the federal No Child Left Behind Act, which tied funding and local control of schools to standardized test scores. Recess in many Massachusetts elementary schools has been diminished or eliminated to provide more time for academics. Therefore, be it resolved that MASC support legislation, current bills S 383 or Senate 383, House 695, calling for at least 20 minutes of uninterrupted, supervised, safe, and unstructured free play recess per day, which cannot be excluded from structured learning time requirements and may not increase the total number of hours required in the school year for Massachusetts elementary school students.
Move to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Ms. Hennessy.
While I definitely support the idea of recess, it just feels wonky that we're like trying to push forward, like must be 20 minutes or whatever. Like, I just feel like there's so much specific time that needs to happen in the schools. There's contracts that have to be figured out with all of the different unions involved and all of the needs. You know, I am a little uncomfortable trying to put like must meet 20 minutes. So I just,
May I ask Mrs. Murphy for her opinion?
So I'm curious, well, 20 minutes, we should have no problem meeting that, but do I not see any grade levels here?
It says elementary.
Just elementary, but should that be defined?
Is that not,
Elementary school students.
So I can imagine in some elementary schools, if that's sixth grade, it could be an issue in other cities and towns, not for us. I mean, there's nothing here. We would fully support, we're trying to add like structured play to the day.
right.
We fully support students, and I think that was one of the things, that we didn't want any punishments happening during recess. So fully support at least 20 minutes of play every day.
right, so if it's elementary, in the legalistic DESI sense, elementary is K to 5, right? So if they have sixth grade in the school, remember we had that whole problem when we had MIES, like, when you ran,
So we would love it to meet time on learning.
Yeah.
We would absolutely positively love recess to be time on learning.
yeah.
It's important, it also talks about one of the things that we value, and I think that's what we've been talking about, the whole child
Right.
and what students need. They really need time to interact with one another and to have that social time. I think that's one of the lessons we learned from COVID, for sure.
Ms. Hennessy.
is it possible that this motion could be amended to allow for the representative to have a discussion with the group as things are happening down on the Cape, so that some of these points could be thrown out for, some better clarity and discussion.
Sure. I mean, also, I'm curious to see what the Senate and House bills actually say.
Exactly, I was thinking
Right?
the same thing.
I should have done my homework on that. But sure, I mean, I'm happy to do that.
Motion made and seconded after withdrawal and reintroducing a motion to allow the delegate to make the decision on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
So it's a yes with you having the ability to,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
that's a
Yeah. I
normal,
mean, if it's
yes.
like some crazy something.
Yeah.
Then. I'm not
Number
gonna-
Oh, I've,
five.
I've made things on the fly, too.
Yeah.
Number 5, zero tolerance policies, sponsored by MASC Board of Directors. Whereas zero tolerance policies and harsh school discipline policies have been shown by the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights to have a disproportionately negative impact on students of color, students with disabilities, and students who identify as LGBTQ+. And whereas the U.S. Department of Justice and the U.S. Department of Education have jointly called for public elementary and secondary schools to meet their obligation under federal law to administer student discipline without discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin, and urged in guidance for public schools to find alternatives to zero tolerance and harsh discipline policies. Therefore, be it resolved that MASC call upon the legislature to enact or amend legislation, current bills, Senate 344, House 664, to encourage the use of restorative, therapeutic, and educational approaches to incidents whenever possible over the use of zero tolerance policies in order to provide students the best chance to remain in the public school systems of the Commonwealth.
Move to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion?
Yay, us. I mean, that, everything that we've been talking about and reading through all the school improvement plans is talking about this, right?
Yep.
Using restorative measures to work through things. Would you like to say something?
I think that Massachusetts has already, although not speaking directly about this, I think Massachusetts has already taken a step towards this recently. I won't say recently, but it's been a couple of years now. But generally, when we talk about school discipline, we're talking about Mass General Laws 37H. And there's 37H, 37H and a half, 37H and 3/4. And really what it's talking about is the ability for schools to suspend or exclude students for a period of time. So a lot of what's here, I just want to make sure you know, is already in law, and we are already practicing it. That's all I wanted to say.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Number 6.
Alternative to MCAS.
There you go.
Supported by MASC Board of Directors. Whereas the Massachusetts Association of Schools has taken a firm position opposing high-stakes testing. Therefore, be it resolved that MASC call upon the legislature to establish a commission to research and analyze alternative means for students to demonstrate academic achievement, which can be used to satisfy graduation requirements for individual students and accountability standards for Mass public schools and school districts. Current bills 293 and 612.
Move to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Another new test. Change the bar so we can't compare.
No, it's create a standard.
Giving other options to the test.
Yeah.
We'll see. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. 7.
School committees and receivership. Whereas state receivership includes all powers of the superintendent and school committee, see number 3 below. Therefore, be it resolved that the MASC file for and support legislation which seeks to preserve the authority of the elected body, the school committee, as provided in MGL Chapter 69, Section 1K, by deleting the words "and school committee" as noted, and by inserting the following. Nothing in this section shall permit the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education or the Commissioner to remove the authority of the school committee. And then the rationale behind it is receivership is an equity issue, receivership strips away the voices of the community, and there are no clearly set guidelines on when DESI will turn around a district. I'm making a motion to approve this one.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion?
This takes away,
It's a nightmare in Holyoke. I mean,
Yeah.
it's awful what these receivership
these elected
situations
officials
do.
who.
Because
give
they
her-
couldn't figure it out, so
No.
let's let them stay there and figure it out later.
No.
Okay.
There's no light at the end of the tunnel, but because there's no tunnel.
That's right,
They don't
yeah.
provide you with anything. It's just not, it's, you know, it's so, when they first did this, I said, how can they do this? This was a democracy at one point. I think this is the most undemocratic thing they could have ever
Yeah,
done.
right.
I mean, I didn't elect either of the commissioners that were around when we did this, that I know of. I didn't vote for either one of them to run my schools. And it's
Yeah,
just
I mean, the
a travesty.
democratic way is vote out the school committee, right? Start over again.
Well, my brother-in-law's on there, and he does a good job.
And don't vote them out.
And don't vote him out. Then campaign for him.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. 8.
Electric school buses, sponsored by the MASC Resolutions Committee. Whereas transitioning to electric-powered school buses would reduce the level of greenhouse gas emissions and limit the health risks from fumes. Therefore, be it resolved that MASC petition Congress to appropriate $30 billion for improving the electric supply infrastructure and providing electric buses and charging stations. I love the idea, but, you know, again, execution. I'll make a motion to approve.
Fantastic. Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. And number 9.
Was there a vote?
Did it pass?
No. Can we revote
Can we-
that one?
I said yes, you
I
said
said
yes.
yes.
I
On the
say,
motion made and seconded to approve. All those in favor of the approval? All those opposed? Passes.
Passed, okay. Number 9, prohibiting the use of Native American mascots. Whereas the MASC passed a resolution last year resolving that all school districts in the Commonwealth should guarantee that racist practices be eradicated and diversity, equity, and inclusion be embedded in practice for our students, families, faculty, and staff. Therefore, be it resolved that the MASC support legislation calling for regulations prohibiting public schools from using an athletic team name, logo, or mascot which names refers to, represents, or is associated with Native American, including aspects of Native American cultures and specific Native American tribes. Current bill S-294.
Move to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion?
I just have a question. This is stupid. So, Michelle, maybe you can
Not
answer this.
stupid.
On the Cape, the Wampanoag, like,
So did you read the thing on the
yeah,
bottom?
no, I know it says we're not prohibit under the Indian Affairs, so,
So there are some districts that are, and some schools that are fully run under the Indian nations, and those can do whatever they want, because it's them making the decision.
it's okay for one, but not for the other. I don't know. I just, it to me seems
It's
a little bit
not my
hypocritical.
right
I
to
know.
use
I-
somebody else's culture in that way. If they want to use their own culture in that way, that's their right.
Okay.
That's,
No,
I'm just explaining.
I hear you. That's why I asked the question.
Any further discussion?
I just think we leave it to the districts to decide. I don't think we need mass to determine the rule.
Yeah, there are bills in Congress on it already. I mean,
Right.
so it's just a matter of whether or not MASC supports the passage of those bills.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? All those in favor? Opposed? Does not carry.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Enjoyable day in the Cape on Saturday. Reports of subcommittees. Mrs. Hennessy,
Ms. Policy, come on, keep it up.
this policy.
Policy Subcommittee meeting will be meeting again on this Thursday. And we will just continue on the agenda items that we had previously been working on and had not gotten to. We are getting closer towards the end of the full review of everything. And we'll bring that forward once we can. Thank you.
Any other reports? Seeing none, members forum. Ms. Matthews,
I have reviewed the warrant and signed it.
warrant has been signed. Any other members? Ms. Bowenheimer.
I have a question from a parent regarding the questionnaire that was sent out to families about using the ARPA funds. The parent just asked if the community is going to get some sort of feedback as to the results of the questions
We're going to bring it forward to the school committee.
to the school committee. That's what I presumed, but I just figured I would ask.
Any other members? Any other members?
Patty, anything?
Not today, I don't think
Not today.
Okay, move to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.